We're in a profession of arms. You never know what tomorrow brings.
We're not saying nothing's gonna happen, but we're also being prepared just in case something does happen.
You're gonna get a call, and a number of things are going to go into motion.
I looked down at my chest, and it was a tracer, and it was burning.
When I woke up, I pretty much thought my life was over.
That could be your wife who's standing by your bedside for months, years.
This isn't just about the soldier. It's about the whole family unit.
We all think we're invincible. You've got to plan for the unexpected.
The Army has provided each soldier with the best equipment in the world, the best training in the world, and now the Army wants to help provide the best personal affairs training for you and your family. And we can do that, but it takes you to help us do it.
You are Army strong. You're physically prepared and mentally prepared. You've had the best training in the world. You've done everything you need to do to make sure your family is taken care of. Just in case the unexpected happens. You did all that, right?
Soldiers, Marines, Airmen, Navy, Coast Guardmen, the same thing. We put this uniform on, and no one wants to think about death.
It's not going to happen to me. It's not going to happen to me. It's going to happen to somebody. It's just not going to happen to me. And any soldier that tells you that he doesn't think that is crazy.
Soldiers are all 10 foot tall and bulletproof. I mean, they have to think that way, or they cannot go and kick in that door that they need to. They're all coming home safely.
When I went to Iraq, I never thought I'd get hurt. We think that it's going to happen to the other guy, or it's going to happen to the other person, but it's not going to happen to us until it does. And then I'll tell you something, reality really kicks in. We have the best equipment in the world. We have the best body armor in the world. We have the best medical care in the world. Quite honestly, a lot of the people that are injured today, 30, 40 years ago, they wouldn't be coming back from the battle. I was severely wounded twice in my particular case. The second time being the most severe, where I spent the last year and a half at Walter Reed.
There are subjects that a husband and wife, right before they deploy, really don't want to talk about. God knows you don't want this to happen to your soldier. But let's face it, there are injuries. But you can't be too prepared, so why not prepare as best you can?
We have some of the most intelligent soldiers, that are in the free fighting world that we have right now. I think we need to explain to them why you're doing this, why it's so important to have a power of attorney, why it's so important to make arrangements, why it's so important to have, in this case, nowadays, in today's warfare, living wills or advanced medical directives.
Most families feel if they discuss that type of subject matter, it jinxes them before deployment.
It's a hard subject to talk about. No one likes to talk about it. But I think the attitude you have to take is that I'm talking about this with the person I love now, because I want to make it easier for them if something does happen.
If they've done all the right things at home before they left, and they've got all their documents in order, they can focus on what our country needs them to do.
Corner right, corner right, corner right.
Specialist McKay.
What? What are you doing here?
Sorry, Sergeant. Specialist McKay didn't sign his DD-93.
Keep it down. I thought you said you did all that. I'm sorry, Sergeant. I thought I did.
But you forgot about these. Sign.
Do it. Hurry.
Date. The DD-93, Record of Emergency Data, should an emergency occur or a death, can perform several functions for you. The first important piece of the DD-93 is it helps us identify, locate your next of kin for notification. If there is a change in who your next of kin are, you need to update that as well. so that the Army makes sure they're notifying the right person and make sure they're going to the right location to do it. Second, it allows you to identify who you want to receive your death gratuity.
If you want to leave money to your minor children, make sure you talk to a legal assistance attorney so that that designation can be properly done. If you don't, then that money could be tied up for months or years.
It also allows you to identify who should receive unpaid pay and allowances. It allows you to identify person authorized to direct disposition of your remains.
This is the person that's going to be in charge of all funeral arrangements, all memorial arrangements in the case of the death of a soldier.
And there are some statutory requirements, but it does allow you to select the person that you think best capable to handle this situation, to handle this tough task. And in the remarks and continuation section, that section, sure, you can continue blocks in there, but you can also give directions and instructions in there. You can let somebody know in advance if there's a language barrier, if there is another life insurance policy, if there's a will where it's kept, if you become injured and rehabilitation is necessary in your case, the area of location of your preference, non-medical attendant. There's just all kinds of directions and instructions you can put in there to help the Army, help you take care of your family, just like you were there.
To me, it's one of the best devotions of love you can do for your spouse, is to make sure that if something was to happen to you, and God forbid, we're all invincible, but we see it around us day to day in this world, is to make sure that our loved ones are taken care of.
Every soldier has a responsibility to themselves to make sure that in the event of their death, there's no additional anguish caused.
I had a son who went down in a helicopter over in Afghanistan. And because his DD-93 was filled out properly, it enabled me to be at his bedside within a couple days. The doctors were great when I talked to him on the phone, but there's nothing better than me being able to call back and tell things were looking good. I've seen it from my own eyes, and we had a great outcome. And I was fortunate, he was fortunate in that case. But just because his documentation was straight, it enabled me to get there in a timely manner and help everybody.
Even as a soldier myself, I was always told, complete this form, it's very important, make sure you sign it, make sure it's up to date, but never was really told why. When I came to casualty, I saw why. I saw this form come to life after a soldier's life ends.
When you understand what the soldier wanted them to have happen for them, and that they talk to the family and it's a plan and it's happening, it's one less burden to bear.
There's a pretty good life insurance policy for our soldiers that is very minimal expenses, that has a large payout. But when you start talking those kind of monies, it's hard for single soldiers it's hard for them to register, because the majority of the young single soldiers are just living day to day.
Soldiers have a bigger estate than they probably think. For example, with your SGLI, with your insurance benefits, that can potentially be a large amount of cash that your beneficiaries are entitled to. And I think most people would want to make sure that that money goes to who they want it to go to.
The SGLI form is going to pay who you've put on your SGLI form, even if you've subsequently gotten divorced, even if you've subsequently had children. If you don't keep those documents updated, then you're going to have a plan in place that really isn't what you wanted and isn't well thought out.
If I was deploying tomorrow, I'll tell you, there's one thing I would not go back into country is without either a living will or advanced medical directive.
Paging Dr. White.
That's me. What's all this?
You got messed up, and all of this is keeping you alive.
Not like this.
How they gonna know? They can't read your mind. No living will, no instructions.
Daddy? Daddy?
That's my daughter. She's supposed to be with my cousin Ruthie.
Sorry, man. Looks like she's going to...
My sister.
Jimmy don't look that good.
Dangerous line of work. Who's the brat?
Give me those.
If I'm injured and I cannot take care of my own health matters and I cannot take care of my own business matters, what's my plan?
It's important to know what the other one's wishes are, because when they are incapacitated, all you're going to do is second guess yourself. as a spouse or as a family member, and wonder if you're making the best decision, if this is what they want.
When you walk out of a legal assistance attorney's office, you'll have a living will advance medical directive that states to the doctor what you want to happen if you're incapacitated, and you'll also have a healthcare power of attorney that appoints an agent that can communicate with that doctor about what healthcare decisions need to be made.
Make sure that if you give this power to somebody, that you and that person have discussed this, and you're tracking.
You can give a healthcare power of attorney to anyone, but it's better be someone you trust your life with.
Once you create an advanced medical directive and living will, those documents should really be entered into your medical records. If you're incapacitated and they need to make those decisions, that's right where they look.
There is no power of attorney that you can give anyone that allows someone to act on your behalf after your death. The only thing that can do that is your last will and testament. So it's important to have the whole complement of documents.
I think that soldiers, whether single or married, with kids, without kids, dual military, or a civilian spouse, need to talk about and address this issue of estate planning.
The importance of a last will and testament are two things. One, it disposes of your property and your assets that are not otherwise titled to someone else in the event of your death. And two, if you have minor children, you can designate who you would like to be the guardian of your children in the event of your death.
Choosing who is going to raise your child if you are not around to do it is pretty tough. And it's a pretty tough conversation to have with your family. Do you choose one brother over another? Do you choose a sister over another? How do you pick that? It's showing a level of moral courage to look those folks in the eye before you go off.
When I was getting ready to deploy, and I went and sat down with the attorney, I mean, you're kind of in awe of this whole program. I mean, power of attorney and will. It's not that difficult.
To have a legally valid will, it has to be knowing and voluntary. So the Army can never force a soldier to get a will, but it sure is a good idea.
There are legal challenges for children to receive large sums of money.
If you try to leave property to a minor in a will, the court will actually step in and create a trust for you. And it takes away that control. You're no longer appointing the person that will manage the money for that person. The court is.
Depending on what type of assets you have and how you've designated those assets, you may or may not need a trust or want a trust. The great advantage of creating a trust is that it ensures that legally the person you've named as your trustee takes care of the money that's meant for the benefit of your children.
When it came to our bills, we made a plan before he left. That's always a good thing, too, because those are fighting words when they come back. If you haven't done with the money what they would like, even whether they're injured or not, they still want to know that this money's in the bank or what you discussed is there.
A general power of attorney is a power of attorney that gives someone every legal right that you would have if you were there. A specific or a special power of attorney is a limited power of attorney that allows someone to do only the things you say that they can do for you.
So, I mean, you have to be cautious in handing out this power because it's pretty big power. It's making sure you got a plan to take care of everything, especially when you're getting ready to deploy to be at the area. Do I have my car payment covered? If I am in a situation where I can't make that car payment, who's going to make it? What's the plan?
Oh, man. A Dodge Ram 1500 Hemi. This is some serious cool.
If you don't take care of your stuff before you deploy.
Oh, Daddy. This is one nice ride.
Someone else will.
Daddy, if I break it, can I keep it?
That's my baby boy.
If you have the powers of attorney designating certain people to do certain things, it avoids the run to the courthouse, it avoids the legal fees. But more important than all of that, I think, to us as soldiers is it gives us peace of mind.
While your soldier's busy checking his gear and making sure his soldiers are ready to go. You as a spouse need to get your household things in order, try to make sure that you have access to the checkbook, you know, where the bills are that need to be paid while he's gone.
A soldier, in ensuring that he and his family are both ready for deployment, because it's a family event, just not a soldier event. The whole family's deploying. The difference is just the soldier is the one that's leaving the home. One of the things that will enable him to go out there and perform his mission is to make sure his family's ready. He does that with family readiness, making sure his DD-93 is right, making sure his insurance is right, advanced medical directive and living will, power of attorney. All those items come under making sure your family's prepared. But not just doing them, making sure they're updated. As life changes, they need to be changed.
Make sure that your family knows what you're doing, and make sure that that family member knows everything that you've done as far as your bank accounts, everything that you've done as far as your will, everything that you've done as far as your service members group life insurance to identify who your beneficiaries are, that you've clearly articulated who your next of kin is, who your family members are, to include your parents. If there's an elderly parent that you may not want immediately notified if something bad happens, you need to make sure you articulate that. And then the Army will work with you on it.
If a service member dies on active duty, becomes injured on active duty, the Department of Veterans Affairs offers a wide range of benefits. Family members may be entitled to education benefits, loan guarantee benefits, traumatic servicemen's group life insurance benefits. Should the service member die, that surviving spouse would be entitled to dependency and indemnity compensation, which is a monthly benefit, tax-free, paid to the surviving spouse and her dependents. In addition, she could go to college, a trade school, work on a master's, finish a certificate. The education benefits would be available.
You may find that there's a military benefit available to you that you didn't even know about.
By taking a few minutes prior to deployment to make sure their records are correct, this just enables our agencies to better serve.
Everything you can do to get your affairs in order before you go helps provide that peace of mind, helps keep you focused on the mission.
It is not our intent to alarm the family, to alarm the soldier about the possibilities and the realities of war. But we think it is very important that we provide them a roadmap to prepare the family just in case that soldier's missing from that return formation. We can speak benefits, we can have your family where you want them, we can take care of that for you, but we need your help to do that.